Good evening and welcome to the City of Montgomery City Council Workshop Meeting for July 13th, 2026 at 6 p.m. We are here to discuss budget items. I'd like to call this meeting to order. We have a quorum. If you please rise so that we can have the invocation given by Mr. Stan Donaldson. That'd be great.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, and we thank you, Father, that this is an opportunity for us, Father, to show progress in the city of Montgomery, Father. We thank you, Father, that the funds are available, Father. You supply all of our needs according to your riches and glory by Christ Jesus. We thank you, Lord, that our city grows and prospers, Father, in all we put our hands to do. In Jesus' mighty name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the United States flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. I did not receive anything for citizens' comments, so we'll move right along to the workshop agenda. Item number 5 on your agenda. Discussion regarding FY 2027 annual budget by fund and department. Ms. Mary Ann.
All right, Mayor and Council. We should all have a packet that looks like this in front of you. As you know, this is still a work in progress. We have all department heads have met. I have met with all department heads, met with, and in conjunction with Mr. Walker, and gone over these items that are included in this budget or this proposal this evening. A couple of things that I want to note right from the start. This budget does currently have a 3% cost of living adjustment in the wages line. There is a merit pool, in keeping with what we've done in the past, the 5% merit. We've currently got it funded at 80%, and the reason that it's funded at 80% instead of 75% is from a budgeting perspective to bring that number into the personnel platform that we're using. It's difficult to do the 5% at 75%. So it throws it off. I can work on that some more. I'm not totally set on what we have in there, but that's essentially what we're bringing to you tonight is 5% funded at 4%, so the effective, or funded at 80%, so the effective is 4%, right? Ideally, some might get more, some might get less. This does have an 8% increase in our health insurance. That is an estimate. How much? 8%.
I thought you said 80. I was going to go.
No, 8%. We will have that number at the very end of August, beginning of September. So if something goes absurdly crazy with that, we will have that number for the adopted budget the middle of September. So if we had to make a change from the proposed that's put out in August to the actual adopted, we can do that at that time.
And that's health insurance.
Health insurance, yes.
Thank you. And the 8% is what you're going to by COLA by TML?
So the average rate right now, rate increase with TML is 11%. There are groups, of course, higher than that, groups lower than that. Based on our current utilization over the past year and previous year, it's reasonable for us to believe that we will be below that 11% mark. Okay. We're also seeing an increase. You may recall we had added that benefit of Next Level, which is the enhanced feature where it allows our employees to go to Next Level Urgent Care as a Prime member and be seen at no charge. And so because we have that, our claims have come way down because people are utilizing the next level piece, and so that's very beneficial for the city. Our TMRS rate did increase for this next year to continue to fund the retirement pool, basically, for the city. That increase is a 2.89% increase on the employer's side. So that is calculated in here. The other thing that's calculated in here is the TML IRP, our risk, right? Your liability, property, all of those lines. Overall, we've had a 2% decrease in that coverage. It is unusual, right? There was a decrease in our workers' compensation, which that's not reflected in this budget wholly, okay? So I still need to tweak that a little bit, and the reason for that is the police officer rate came down slightly, right? So they're the highest group on our workers' compensation. Their rate has come down slightly. We also get a 20% discount, experience modifier, and then a 20% pool discount. So I need to build that into that rate, because right now what you're seeing in here is the full rate minus, or excluding those discounts. So when we bring this back to it, we'll have that discount included in there. All right. Any other?
When did the new city hall building go on?
It was put on the policy this year. We had a rate adjustment for that building this year. I don't remember the exact.
How many kids occupied? Does it change that you know?
It will, because the contents will be covered. So it will be, that will change, and the value of the building will likely change. Yeah. So yeah. So right now it is just a fake building.
That's what say we have vacancy coverage.
Yes. All right.
Did you touch on unemployment at all?
What's that?
Did you touch on the
Unemployment is out of our control.
right, did we bring that many
Yes.
employees on that are unemployment more than double?
Yeah.
So the way that unemployment number comes, that's our rate from the state. We fall into a group of municipal governments. It's not individualized to us and our claims. We are in a big pool based on the nature of our business. And that rate went up this last year. So it looks like a giant percentage in there, but it's really not huge.
It's not a large amount.
No.
No, but I'm like, why is it over 180% is, double?
We were at the lowest rate forever. Government employees were, government entities were at like an extremely low rate, but that increased. And you have to remember, this is it's a percentage on the first $9,000 in compensation year. So.
And then you said 8% on the health insurance, right? But I'm seeing 28% repeated.
So part of the reason that you see that difference on those sheets has to do with the elected coverage, right? So as an employee, if you choose to elect dependent coverage, whether it be for your spouse, your children, or your family as a whole, the city pays a portion of that. So when you're seeing that change over last year, what was budgeted, it's bringing that into account, because this budget is based on what people are currently enrolled in. So last year, if we had somebody who was only enrolled as an employee at the time that we adopted the budget, but come January 1st, they had a change in their situation. Maybe they got married, maybe they had children, maybe they brought everybody over to their plan. that increases the employer's contribution. So we can't just plug it in and say a flat 8% overall, because it's based on current usage of the insurance. So that's why that number looks a little funky based on what people currently have as their coverage.
I'm just seeing, so in admin, we're at $80,000 increase, in the police, we're at 120 now, what is it? It's 100. Or no, it's 90,000 increase.
On admin, it's
20%.
It's a $30,000 increase.
Well, from 66 to 140 is not.
Right. So you need to look at the column that says amounts FY26 adopted.
Oh, okay.
That's budgeted.
So we're still 30. That's still significant, right?
So again, some of that is going to come into play with what your people that are on your plan have elected. I will let you know that there is an employee who was not in, that did not have coverage under, wasn't here, right, didn't have coverage. You also have you also may have had somebody else who changed coverage during the year, so that increases that.
Oh, I guess the question is, when did you say 8%? Not the 20?
So the premium itself has gone up 8%.
Okay, the total cost because of the additional. Okay, I think that's the confusion, which I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, that's one of those that's hard to be able to bring it to you and say it's an 8% increase, because there are just too many other variables. It's based on who's enrolled in
The
what
base
level.
cost went up 8%, but you're adding more people covered.
Correct.
For dependents and so on.
Yeah.
So then, and then the wages, I know you've got the 3% and 5% and 80 figured in there. That still doesn't add quite to what the difference is. So is there an added employee?
Yeah, you can't really sure.
Where are you looking at?
Wages for admin.
So there is, you have I have to remember the administrative the assistant director for MEDC comes out of admin, and that is offset by a general fund.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And staff had asked for an IT position. Is that in this wages?
It is not currently in there.
I haven't got that far yet. We're still pricing out, one versus the other.
Good.
Do you have an estimated budget for that position already in mind, or is that? I mean, I understand they can be expensive, but is there?
Yeah, well, actually the hope was more of let's call it a technical manager, not really an IT full-blown, because the third party that we do use is really our IT. So we just really need somebody to help us manage it all from here and install computers here. So it's kind of a hybrid. But, $80,000, $90,000 is where we're at least at this point. And that's why we're comparing it to if we just have a person come in from contract and go 2 or 3 days, what kind of does that look like? And then does that fit what we really need? A lot of the technology, at least currently, I mean, of course, when we move to a new building, there's going to be a lot, but the police department is, a high user of all kinds of technology, and that's the place that we're really trying to fill that need.
And then one more, I see the election fund went up again, so did the county, their rate go up again?
So we can actually bring that back down to 40,000. We found out we found out early last week that we may have needed a special election that was confirmed just before 5 o'clock today that will not be necessary. So it had to do with mixed beverage tax. So, and finding where there's a whole, at what point, what's that?
There was gonna be a special election about a Miss Beveridge tax, but that's been taken.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We were included, Ruby can explain, we were included in an election.
From 1983 in the county for precinct 1. I'm trying to go back that far back and research to make sure that we were incorporated in it. If not, then we had to prove that we have an election.
Yeah, the city had not had one independently, but it was covered under the precinct 1. So,
Yeah, I
yes.
was gonna say, we need to revisit the, if it's gonna jump to 70 for just normal elections, so we
Yeah.
need to revisit the 4-year terms and get down to one election every other year.
Right.
And we're gonna move it back to the 40.
To 40. Yeah, to 40.
Which is still, even, this is cost saving.
Going to 3 or 4 year terms
We'd have to
instead
do
of keeping it where we are now.
It needs to be full.
Yeah.
So we didn't skip every other year.
It just has to be written better, so that way that, because
That is the,
yeah, it was important. But anyways, we'll tackle that another day. Anyhow, that's it.
The other thing I will mention is, I talked a little bit about it at the last workshop, about looking at breaking out the property liability, those insurances, and assigning it according to department based on either dependent on which coverage it is, ownership of properties, ownership of vehicles, value of property, number of employees, all of that. We talked a little bit about that last year when we talked about that crime insurance. So you're seeing that reflected in that. So some departments are higher because we made adjustments in order to allocate it to the department that seems to fit the idea. So where you'll see one of the biggest savings, of course, is under court, right? Like they have a small corner of the building, they're 3 people, so their rates, their cost of those coverages have come down because they don't have as much ownership in those items. So that is one area where you will see some percentages that look a little crazy, and that's why.
So why is administrative property insurance so much higher? I know it's only $12,000, but it's 269% more. Do they have more property or?
No, it's based on how it was being allocated before. So when that bill came in for the property insurance, it was divided. A vast majority was assigned to water and sewer, right? Because a lot of the infrastructure belongs to water and sewer, right? So a higher portion was put over to water and sewer. Then the remainder of that was like divided by 4. And so court paid 25%, PD paid 25%, admin paid 25%, and public works paid 25%. Well, admin and PD and court probably shouldn't all have the same percentage, right? Like court's percentage should be less than 25%, was the way that we looked at that and saying they occupy a portion of the building, have 3 employees. Their ownership in that, their contribution to those insurances should be more equitably spread out.
Yep.
Mary Ann, question. So the general fund for the police overtime is $60,000 for 27, but I thought that in part CCPD was going to pay for
overtime?
So that 60,000 is the same number that we've been budgeting the last couple of years.
I just thought it was coming from their bucket and not the general fund police bucket.
We did not make a decision last year to pay for overtime out of CCPD. I have not had that discussion. That has not been part of the discussion for this next year.
no.
So I have several questions about the police, fund budget, but I want to see the CCPD budget.
So CCPD budget is going to be brought to them at the end of this month. They have not had a meeting until, they will not have a meeting until the end of July to be able to see their budget and offer it up as proposed.
But that doesn't give us a ton of time for us to look at it and approve it.
Understood.
Right,
There will be
so-
one more workshop before that.
Yeah, I want to be able to look at what we're getting on admin versus what's on the CCPD.
We tried to have a meeting in June, but it was difficult to be able to pull everybody together to be able to have that meeting. So their quarterly meeting is the last Monday of July.
Yeah, they may need a special meeting because it is budget season and we need a budget.
If we need to add another workshop, a budget workshop for y'all, we can.
Oh, I don't need one, I need theirs.
No, I understand that, but that's, if we had things that we needed to address on their budget, we could do that at that time.
Are you looking to just know what's on the CCPD budget?
Yeah, I want to see what's compared. I want to see what's being picked up on the CCPD versus what's being left with us.
Okay, we talked about that a little bit in that last meeting, that we did not add anything back to the general fund. We actually took that $100,000 out and spent for, to equip cars last year. And we took that $100,000 out. It came back to a 76. We put 76 in there that came from CCPD. Well, it didn't come from CCPD, but we added the 76 because we took the 100 out. And that 76 was for the following. $76,000 was for 18,000 was for body cams, 7,000 was for brasses, the dash cams were 43,000, and Spellman, our recording system, was another 7,000. Which was put back in where that 100,000 was taken out.
Yeah.
But I'll give you, I know what you're saying, I'll give you all of that, the whole budget, and that way you'll be able to see it.
Yeah, I want to see where the actual budget is.
Okay, yeah, then make that comparison, that's fine.
Would you just like us to an income, or do you want to have anything,
Well,
just for knowledge or for?
we need to see what we're leaving on admin versus what's on CCPD. I'm fully aware that they're going to pay for a large percentage of our building, but I still want to see what,
Right, so I'm asking, do you want to send an email, or are you wanting another?
well, it's up, he could email us all.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to me.
Okay.
I just
All right.
want to be able to compare
I
this.
just didn't know if you wanted another meeting called, or if you wanted
Well, we
to.
have to have another meeting called just to approve their budgets.
And that's where the difficulty comes in, because it's difficult to be able to give you even the MEDC budget, the CCPD budget, without those boards having seen what is being proposed.
Yeah.
That's why I said if it takes a special meeting, then that's what it takes. It's budget season, so, we have, I don't even know how many MEDC special meetings we've had in the last 6 months, but it's a bunch. So. Cool.
Any
Yes.
questions?
I don't have any questions about the police budget, because
Does anybody else have any questions about the police budget? Or for that matter, back on admin, or everybody good with what was on admin?
Where's WGA on here? It's not.
So you're gonna see that on the next department we come to,
Okay.
page 8 of your packet.
Okay.
So engineering gets divided up into a few places, right? You're gonna see some in public works, you'll see some under water and sewer. And then there are items that are directly billed to escrow accounts. So those are not a part of our operating budget, but when you see when you see engineering, that's anything that's related to the city's functions. Some of it's in public works and some of it's in water and sewer, just depending on what their taxes and how it's for that.
And then same question, Mike, did we add personnel?
No.
One of the things that impacts the wages line as well is your certification pay and education pay. So when you have somebody who gets an additional degree or an additional certification, that does impact those wage lines. It's not huge, but there is a portion of it. One of the things that I wanted to point out on here is under general park maintenance on page 8. We increased that from 100,000 to 136,000, and the reason for that is to encompass the Christmas light contract, putting that underneath Public Works and Parks. It was actually in the quality of life events line. That's where this last year when they approved the contract, that was where the expenditure came from. Because it kind of coincided with that, but this year we have broken out here. In exchange, you would have seen under the admin line, we did put the events under that admin line. Or under the admin department.
Hey, Mary Ann, there's been a 62% increase in city hall cleaning. Is that anticipating us moving to the new building?
That's actually for adding the annex across the street. So we pay weekly for that cleaning as well. So that is an increase to encompass that cleaning twice a week across the street. I think it's twice a week over there as well, right? Yeah.
$10,000 more.
Do we need him twice a week?
Say it again?
Do we need him twice a week?
Kimberly, y'all dirty over there?
I mean,
At the very least, just to pull trash, you know. I can throw my own trash if I to. I can do that, but.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, but I'm like, that's a big increase.
Are we cleaning the whole building?
No, it's just for space.
Yeah.
I don't know what the breakout is, do you?
We need to have a visit with our cleaning company and say, how much.
See if I can get in here and get you the breakout. I had a problem logging in before, but let me see if I can get logged in.
Because I'm assuming that
Adopted 13,000. Mike, is that your office here and community center? Just here? So it's 13,000 just right here, and then that's gonna go to 21,000 for here and there?
And that's not a secure location, right? They don't have to be in the same kind of secure, right, like with the police department? Being in the same building? Is that right?
No, it's just,
Or we could just bring in barricades, right, or whoever. I mean, is it over 2,500 square feet?
No.
no.
Like 1,800, isn't it?
1,800.
Yeah,
Yeah.
1,800.
I mean, you can get.
I might want to rebid that.
Yeah, I mean, it needs to come for every.
I know people that would come in and clean it for regular.
Especially since they do not have the secure location and all that process. I will clean it down.
I'll do it. Actually, just roll it over. I got it.
That is crazy.
I do think there's only, from what I've seen, I do think there's only one full clean being done a week. So I do think there's only one full clean.
I thought it was like $200.
Yeah, I think it actually is once a week over there. And it is $150 per clean.
Yeah. So she's coming once a week, $150. Yeah. That's still high.
She comes twice, right?
She runs the street as once a week.
Oh, okay, I was about to say she comes just twice.
She doesn't touch desk and anything, she just sweep her on the floor and throw it out the trash?
Cleaning the bathroom.
It's about sometimes a job.
She does a good job.
She does, I just was,
Back over here used to smell like urine all the time. You couldn't hardly go in. So,
I ain't talking about this building. Right, the price for this building is understandable. $8,000 for 1,500 square feet is a lot.
yeah, oh, yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, the price for this building it's acceptable. It's the $8,000 increase to the other building.
The other thing is too, you don't really have a lot of foot traffic over here like this building does.
Right.
It's very minimal.
Get it going to the queue. I don't know, it just seems like, well, I know $8,000 is not much to squabble about, but it's
it just doesn't feel
value
right.
for the dollar.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel right.
the mowing went up,
So is gas though.
Yeah.
Is that what mowing, is that, the mowing, Mike?
Mowing is just, what I took it to is the maximum that the contract could be for the.
Not to exceed.
Not to exceed.
Okay.
He rarely, he never gets to the full amount. Something's always missed or delayed because of rain or whatever, but just to be safe, if he was to hit 100% of everything, that's what it would be.
What's her estimate when she gave us that for across the street? I don't even remember that.
Yeah, I mean, she told me how much it would be per week. I don't remember off the top of my head.
I mean, she's there for 3 hours.
I think she's there for 3 hours.
She shouldn't be.
There's no way.
She's not, she's,
Like I said, what y'all doing over there?
she's there maybe 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah. So she's making $300 an hour.
That's why I said I'll do it. I got it. We get split proceeds.
Is the utilities for City Hall, is that for an estimate for the building or?
Both of them will be on there for a year.
Yes.
Both buildings will be on there.
This one, that time, the new building? Mine is 75%.
So yes, we are paying, right now we have utilities over there, and we will continue to have utilities over there even unoccupied there. So that's what that's covering. That's not including an increase of occupying.
The serviceable cost of patient while we're all over there, that building and not being double. Sure wish it would go faster.
And I think
I do too.
clarify, it's just that that's for, okay, we're having.
I don't work for those people.
Chop, chop, tell them chop, chop.
Well, it's on the exact schedule. August, they will bring the guaranteed maximum prices list. They'll be at your August budget meeting. They'll go over the price. Right now, everything has gone really smooth. Shortly, you're going to see some interior stuff that's coming. They're working through that. You're going to meet with the staff first, go over some of that, and then they'll bring it to you. John will present that to you August 10th. Shortly after August 10th, we should have the official guaranteed maximum price, or at least the first version of that. So far, the only problem we've had in this whole process of pre-construction, if you will, is the tests on the soil under that building. Terrible. It's creating a few problems. I don't know what that problem cost yet, but it's problematic. It's swamp mud.
Well, that's all of Montgomery.
Wow.
It's that black gumbo.
Yeah, I mean, I think you got lucky, they got a rocky, whatever that is up there, clay and stuff. But yeah, the problem is the second floor, because it's a concrete poured second floor, the weight that presses down. Also the new area that's built on where the PD is there. Just pouring a foundation's likely it's just gonna push it up, since it's so wet under it. And so they're considering bringing in engineered dirt, take out 3 and 4 foot of soil and bring in some good dirt and then pour the slab, which also costs money. So, you gotta expect some of these problems, but we are moving pretty good, and
everything seems to be on schedule other than that one hiccup.
Since you are moving good, there was 3 people from over in Buffalo Springs specifically, and I understand why. It was because they drive by there all the time, and they wanted to know why we were doing absolutely nothing to that building. And I said, well, I think we're doing something, and they said, what? And I said, well, call Mr. Walker, he'll talk to you about it.
Well, construction itself, they're not gonna touch the building because we're in pre-construction. The only thing we're doing is design but that ends in August.
I gave him your phone number.
Yeah, that's fine.
Don't ask me, 'cause I don't know.
Well, I will say that it has been empty for,
Yes,
a long time.
especially those people that live in your
Yes,
neighborhood.
well, and we,
They drive by it all the time, and don't see anything happening.
I don't know if there's anything we could have done to speed it up or have, if this is like the suggested or timeline.
This was the suggested timeframe for pre-construction. Once we got the construction manager in, it was for the last quarter of this process. And so they've been meeting with John back and forth, you know, trying to get all that. And now they have all the interior designed out, and they're gonna bring samples and all that, so you guys will look at it, feel. They've done a really cool job, I must say. I mean, I've just seen pieces and parts of it. I think you'll be pleased that they really understood that the Texas flag was what we were or what we are. One of the cool things, this kind of whatever you call this up here, is a star. In the new
good.
So it matches with what we've done on the south lot. The star just keeps carrying. I think they're doing a pretty good job.
So they're gonna have a coffered ceiling over there also, like this?
Is that what you call it? I don't know what you call it. Yeah, it's gonna be.
Is it, that's good for acoustics,
Like
right?
this, but yeah, they're doing some acoustic wall behind the
It's nice.
dais as well, so yeah, they're covering everything. From what I can tell, they're doing a really good job. I really like the company that they brought in for the interior part of it. They go at it a very interesting way. They, of course, use AI and everything else nowadays, but they did the experience as if you're an employee, as if you're this, as if you're a citizen coming in, what's your experience coming into this building, what you see, and very cool.
Huh. Can't wait to virtually walk through.
Yeah, John's gonna bring it for the August 10th meeting. See, I'm interrupting your budget talk, sorry.
Did we add things to the community center? It's not a big amount, just
So the air conditioning is running more over there. I think it due in part to some of the leaks that are in the building, but we do have an increased utility cost over there primarily.
We weren't using the air conditioner last year?
Yes, but I don't know. The increased utilities at the community center,
Did we add anything?
we are definitely up.
Yeah, we haven't
added anything.
No, we haven't added anything, but the building leaks like a sieve, so.
Yeah, well, but I don't let us fix it, that's what we get.
And I think part of it may have been last year,
But there has been an increase in utility.
it has been increasing, but we've noticed a large
But not all of the
increase.
buildings are not air conditioners.
Yeah, just that.
So the park improvements I see is built in, and that includes the project that you presented the other day?
It does. So that one's 800,000, I mean, I'm sorry, that one is 719,000. And then that leaves me a little extra for, we got a project at Memory that we want to do. And Stan actually came up to me before the meeting and said he had something he wanted to hit on this subject, and I'd like for you to do it here in the budget workshop about Homecoming Park?
Yeah, well, I wanted to put a walkway around the park so people can walk around it and take their dogs or whatever. And I suggested, across block, and Mike said that's too a maintenance headache. He said the only way to do it right is to put a concrete walk, so, yeah, I'm going to try to put a small path, a sidewalk, you want to call it, around Homecoming Park, so they can walk around with their kids and dogs or whatever, right? There's that kind of activity there already, so.
Could you use that, instead of concrete, the concrete sidewalks are expensive when we start doing concrete sidewalks?
Yeah.
Or you could do an asphalt or a padded asphalt and do a crushed concrete. Crushed concrete, you again have the same problem you have with crushed sand.
Never-ending maintenance.
If you want a solid surface, you can do
Well,
different.
not a lot, but I mean, I've seen the new facility, I've
Crazy
seen the
question,
park
what
stuff.
would like a turf, like a track, would that be cost effective?
I'd be completely guessing. I mean, I'd have to get some pricing on it.
True track?
Oh, that's what I'm talking about, it's like padded asphalt.
Yeah, like a racetrack.
I don't know how much it's gonna cost.
Shred the tires, or whatever they do.
The only thing I'll say to that, just
Yeah, it's not.
without knowing a whole lot about it, there's definitely still maintenance involved with that type of product. Just like a poured in place over a regular concrete, I mean, it's, you know, unless it breaks, there's really not a whole lot of maintenance other than pressure washing it once a year.
Okay.
So it may be a little bit more capital, it may not though. I mean, that artificial stuff can get expensive. I don't know the pricing, I'd be completely guessing.
Anyways, just throwing ideas out there.
Yeah. And then, so, I mean, you may want to tell them what you were talking about Cedar Break too. Tell them your thoughts on Cedar Break as well.
Oh.
Just because it affects the overall number.
Well, yeah, Cedar Break, I've got more thoughts about it. First of all, I don't want it to look like a carnival when we get through with it. I like the fact when you drive by, you see greenery and it looks pretty. And I don't perceive in my thoughts, if you put a lot of colored playground equipment there, it just doesn't make it look that attractive. And I don't want to take up any space for pickleball court. That's more grass lawn and.
Well, pickleball court is something that a lot of people have asked for us.
And it's, the volleyball court is there, I mean, that's the maintenance with the sand.
Why can't we get the county to do that, because they got a lot more.
They don't own it, they don't own it, it's up to us.
They don't own the parks, Dan, that's city property.
Now, he's talking about putting it at the county park instead.
Oh,
Yeah, he's talking about getting the county to do it.
I think, I mean, because we've had a lot of people ask for them.
Yeah, I agree, there are a lot of
Yeah,
people.
it's very popular.
Yeah. So one idea, I'm just throwing it out, one idea is, so where, well, no, other than that, I'm talking about keeping it here, where the current volleyball court is, that's where we were proposing the workout equipment. We could look at doing if you'd rather have a pickleball court over workout equipment, we could do the pickleball court over where the volleyball court is, under the trees. So leave that area out there that you're talking about more open. Just keep in mind that the plan that I brought was kind of I mean, I was asking for everything, you know, and I knew that, but if y'all wanted to scale it back, that'd be completely fine. Colors, don't worry about colors, because that was just a drawing. I told them, give me whatever colors you want, because this is not a proposal, it's just for the budget. So.
But for the green space,
I liked
he's
it.
talking about where the volleyball court is, it would really make not a lot of difference if it was a pickleball court versus where the volleyball court is right now.
Yeah, it's the same footprint almost.
Yeah, well, the plan that was brought was putting workout equipment where the volleyball court is, and then a pickleball court would be over by the pavilion in that grassy area. And that's what Stan is saying, he doesn't want to see all the grass real estate used up with the pickleball court.
I think it'd be good where the volleyball court is right now.
Yeah, or can we just shift everything so it's towards the back of the park?
Well, I just like it because like, there's no kids playing around over there where the volleyball court is. It's away from the kids because people may not be pickleball players. They might be hitting it pretty hard and people get hit in the eye and we don't even get sued for that. So it's like its own little area.
Right, and some people have harsh language with facing jokes.
Yes.
If you'll see the smaller shore over that little spot over there, you know, right on the right side of the bridge.
The toddler area?
The top there, you'll see their babies there, but you'll see all the other kids over on the inside.
Yeah.
So either way, I'd like to leave it in the budget, we always pull it back out, once we see the concept, and we move the pieces around and decide, I'd like to leave it in the budget.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm all agree with that.
So just.
Here's how we spend it.
Yeah, and just consider if you want to add some more to go ahead and do the sidewalks, that's something that, you know, knowing how much we have left over, that's something that y'all can, you know, y'all can decide, or we going to pull something out of Cedar Break to do the sidewalks. Just know that this was a big year at Cedar Break. And my plan was next year to go back to homecoming to try to do a little bit more. So even if we can't do it this year, I was going to bring it back the following year, try to get back over there. And maybe a dog park at that time.
I was going to say, since I'm not in that general area like I am in Cedar Break Park, how much traffic during the school year does Homecoming Park see?
It gets traffic. I see
It
people
sees
use
more
it.
during the school year than it does other times. Yeah.
It gets used.
I was going to say, I think it gets used a lot during that period of time.
In fact, I know, you know, all cars on the sidewalk, on the other side of the street.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll get some feedback because it is designated as a national demonstration site, so it's got the QR code out there for research. They can scan and tell us. Cedar Break will be the same way. I actually just received the email yesterday saying that we were awarded the national designation spot for Cedar Break, so we'll get that extra funding.
Good, good job.
You know, in the proposal, so.
Well, I tell you what, Homecoming Park, you guys, that you did a great job on that.
It's looking good. We're not completely done this year.
Yeah, it looks great.
We still got a drinking fountain going in there and Cedar Break and some, and for the bottles, yep. And then redoing the electric, putting the electric underground.
What is the designation for? You lost me.
So it's designated as a national, and I lost the word.
You said demonstration.
Demonstration, yeah, a national demonstration site. So the park is designed to promote physical activity. There's 7 different aspects that a park can promote. Trails, there's all different, but that one was physical activity. When someone comes and visits the park, there's a plaque out there. They can scan the QR code and it will ask them about their visit. It'll even go into asking them what they did before they got there, or maybe where they're going after. Like, are you going to get something to eat afterwards? Right. Are you going into town to shop? And they'll give us printouts of this.
I was saying, who gets that data? Does it go to the?
It comes to us, yeah.
Okay.
Well, it doesn't come straight to us.
Okay.
It goes to their database and then
Okay.
they send it to us.
And they send it to you
Yeah.
yearly, monthly, each
I think
trip?
it's twice a year.
Okay.
They'll send it, yeah.
National demonstration.
You're thinking right.
Wait a minute, and we got a bunch of, they don't have
Yeah,
a permit
no,
now,
no,
they just
no,
show
no,
up
no.
and act cool over there.
No, it's getting traffic on it.
Is everybody in here for when we talk about flags and flags for $2,000 each for that?
The flag at Kroger, our city.
So, no, that one's.
It's changed.
Yeah, there you go.
There's a change.
Okay, did I miss that change? Did I miss that meeting?
Yep.
All right, fine.
Bigger and better, bigger and better.
And Osprey.
Osprey, good. Okay.
Any other questions on public works?
Mike, how's it going with the trucks and the leases?
It's going good.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's pretty smooth. We've got 2 of the trucks that burn a unusual amount of oil for brand-new trucks, but we're working with them on that, so that doesn't, it doesn't.
Did they fix that, or did they?
Well, we took one of them to Wiesner to have them do, they had to do an oil change, and then they want to monitor it every 1,000 miles. It's not costing us anything extra, but they are, I mean, I don't know what they're gonna do with it. They may give us a couple of quarts of oil and say, just add it to it every once in a while, which as long as it doesn't cost us, I'm fine with it. But yeah, it's going well.
But if we would have bought the truck versus leasing the truck, they still have the same thing.
Absolutely.
It costs us a lot more money.
Yeah.
That here's the piece.
Yeah, there's something about these 3/4 tons, these Chevy 3/4 tons, that I'm reading online about it too, they're burning oil.
No.
It's a Chevy.
All right, page 11 is court. I talked last time about the increase for prosecutor fees, so you see that on here.
Yeah. No, Kimberly didn't notify us that in the last, but,
Yep.
yeah, that's going up. It's good to meet you.
So we don't, going back to that unemployment insurance, we don't have any recourse because we're in a pool, I mean, as far as.
So, no, that's mandated by the state. If you're an employer in the state of Texas, you get assessed a rate from workers' comp, and based on the nature of our business, it's not based on our utilization, it's not based on our claims, it's based on the nature of our business because we're a government entity. What's that? Yeah. And again, like on hers, it's a $513 for the year. So that 171% looks giant, but it's not a big amount.
Because I want to reduce them.
All right, any questions about general fund items? Any of the departments, the revenue? Of course, we're still working on that. We're still monitoring sales tax. We expect to have our property tax. We should have our numbers at the very, very end of July. It'll be the beginning of the first couple of days of August. So we're waiting game. They can't calculate till we get those certified values from the appraisal district, and they're not obligated to do that until July 20th. All right, on to water and sewer. The impact fees that you see here are estimates that we got, the projections that we got from WGA. So that's awesome. That's an increase there. Of course, that's an in and out. So if the revenue comes in, and if there's an expense that transfers it over to the capital fund. So if we don't get it, we don't make the transfer. The water revenue, we went ahead, this one is a little bit harder to project for this next year because remember we had an increase in our rates. And so we're also still looking at this to see where we're at, where we're coming in. Water is one of those things, as Mike always says, kind of a guessing game, because if you were really wet summer, you're not gonna have as much water revenue. So, but that's, so we've got that, and then the same is true on the sewer revenue side.
So repairs and maintenance, why did that increase so much?
Oh, hold on, which page are we on?
Page 19.
Oh, he skipped way ahead.
It's okay.
Skipped way ahead.
Hold on, Stan, we're off.
He skipped about
about 4
Hey,
pages.
I don't have a 19. I don't have a 19.
No, it's on 15.
15?
That's the one we combined.
Oh, yes.
We combined it with utility projects, preventative maintenance.
Repairs and maintenance, yes. What Mike said.
Yeah. So we've essentially got two separate line items, one for repair and maintenance, one for preventative maintenance or utility projects. And we're just combining them into one line item, repair and maintenance. Preventative maintenance falls under repair and maintenance. We've got several items that it could go either way. So just combining it into one line item.
There's no real.
Yeah, there was a little bit of an increase just for more facilities going online. But it's not the jump that you see.
Right, because if you look down 4 lines, you see where it's decreased by 99%. Utility projects, preventative maintenance. You see there was an increase for garbage pickup as well. There is 2 pieces of this. We'll be bringing to you, I think it's a tomorrow night's council meeting, the rate increase for heading into year 3 of the waste management contract. So that's included, and then we've got a slight increase for just additional growth. And the last thing that you see on here, well, not the last, but towards the bottom of page 16, transfer to debt service. So in looking at, remember when we took on the debt issuance for this year, that's going to be supported by the water and sewer revenues. And we had talked about utilizing impact fees kind of as a step to get us to the increased revenue sustained in water and sewer. So this preliminarily, we're looking at adding $100,000 over this year's transfer to debt service. So it was 583 this year, we're looking at 683 for next year. And we might, just depending on what we see with our revenue projections, that amount can always be increased if we need to do so. But we are looking at utilizing impact fees, and when you see in the next round of workshop, there'll be the special revenue funds and the little one-offs like the debt service. We don't have a lot of control over that. It is our debt, we have to pay it. And so that calculation comes from our ad valorem rates and then our support from like water and sewer fund. So you'll see that in there. So we might tweak that number a little bit, but it's.
So help me understand, so about engineering.
Yeah.
I just added all this, and I know we pay all those, like the engineering, like I'm just looking to see what we're setting aside for engineering. And I found 3 spots I think, I know we pay all more than that.
But a lot of it's in the escrow.
In the escrows, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we do have some in admin for,
Yeah.
You know, some of the stuff they do right at the beginning before there's escrow and all of that, so we have that too. But most
I
of
was
it.
just looking to see, because that, to me, that's an indication of growth, right? So if we're doing more of this, fees go up.
So,
what all?
I mean, our goal is to make sure we're spreading it out as much as we can so that developers are carrying their costs. And so these numbers don't include anything developer related. They don't include any, because those.
That's truly just city.
That's correct. So that's, the meetings and the on-call and the ordinance items, anything like that. So.
He never answers his phone though.
Anything like that is in there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One of the things that we're working
Okay, I was just curious, because
One of the things that we're working towards is implementing one of the modules in Encode for project accounting. And that project accounting is going to be able to provide us with a report to give to council that will give you an idea of how much is being spent or billed on the projects for the construction costs, the engineering cost, and that. So that's in the works right now. So that'll be a part of reporting that you get, so you'll see where those other engineering expenses.
And I understand it's an escrow, but just didn't know, with the growth in the projects that we have going on, I anticipated it being a different number, just for baseline. That's in here.
We asked them.
Yeah, I know, yeah. I mean, I was anticipating 2 commas. Good job.
And we try to, again, we look at our costs today and we're tracking under so far for this on-call stuff. So that's why we didn't increase it, because we're comfortable.
You're tracking on what?
Like the budget that we have this current year, and so there's no increase, because again, we're within our range, so we don't, and again,
So,
it's been a busy year, and hopefully some of these things will start dropping off and completing and extra items.
So when you think about when you do the escrow agreements and they do their feasibility study, that escrow agreement and that deposit is what pays them for the feasibility study, not the city. So you see a lot of bills come through, right? Like they're doing a lot of work. Yes, and those escrow accounts are paying.
but this is just them, like I said, the day-to-day, keeping the lights on stuff.
All right, any other questions on water and sewer? Any other questions overall?
So I just have one, and to run it by council. So if we go back to our very first fund summary page where it says total revenue, total expenses, general fund surplus or deficit, right? So we're showing a surplus roughly of 180,000 based on estimates of revenue, right? When we estimated our revenue, how conservative were we?
So we are somewhat conservative on this. And part of that's part of the challenge right now in looking at our revenue, right? So we have a certified estimate from the tax office. But when I go back and look at that certified estimate from the previous 2 years, it's way higher than what our certified values come back. So like, I think our certified estimate, the value increase is like 14%. Well, I can't put myself there. We'll have a hard number at the end of the month, right? So that's one of the pieces. The other piece that we're looking at, and actually Mr. Walker came in the other day and we were looking at sales tax data. And we've got our projection right now is only got it in, I think I've got it in as a 3% increase. Based on what our trend was through May, our overall increase year to date was, or actually I guess July, was like 1.6%. Let you in on a little secret, although I don't have any details. Our sales tax deposit this month is larger than we have ever seen. It's giant. Go on the website and look, it's $2.1 million.
So there was an error.
So, it's somewhere, it's something, yeah. So, you can see that on the comptroller's website. I don't have the granular detail yet.
Good God almighty.
I have no idea how much of it is an audit payment. No idea how much of it is current. No idea if it maybe isn't ours. I don't know. But that's one of the challenges right now, is for us to look at and be like, right, you can't bank on that, right? And so, looking at like some of the trends and where we're seeing some of the things that have dropped off,
If you look at last month, it was way low than normal, so there was something that happened. Yes.
But when we combed through that data, there wasn't anything that was glaring that would have put us thinking we were getting that much this month. So.
No huge quarterly filer or?
I don't know. I will have to wait and see what we.
So tell you that number again, 2.1 million.
So,
See, I always wonder that maybe we have to pay some of that back or something.
Yeah.
Because
And we might, that's why we're gonna, once we get the granular
we have
data.
had to do that before.
Yeah, I know.
HEB 2 years ago,
Yeah.
3 years ago.
So we'll be looking at that. But so the revenue is potentially conservative. The other thing, I'm sure you saw in there, the use of surplus funds. We brought in $800,000 to cover that park expense. And the reason that we did that is so that you were seeing that project is not impacted here, right? If our revenue comes in much higher and we don't have to pull that from surplus, by all means, we're gonna make adjustments and not pull that from surplus if the goal is to go forward on that project.
So what I want to put the council is to think about it, fund the merit raises at 50 or 60, and then we look for another 100,000, and maybe that's from the park project. Instead of funding it at a full 100%, we funded it, 85%, and put 700,000 into it. Basically, it'll bring us down 2% on our total expenses and get us closer to the 17. No, it won't be, maybe 17 and 19 roughly. But because I know that we're usually very conservative with our revenues, and we usually come in a little bit over that, we like to see those two numbers be the same.
Now, let me ask you this, and I know nobody here has a crystal ball, but there's a very large grocer coming in, looking to open in August timeframe.
Next year.
Right. Yes, and so that would be the very tail end of our fiscal year. And so that I'm curious as to if it's just going to.
So if they open in August,
we don't recognize it.
It won't come in until October.
What's that?
It would show up in the third quarter, which is
Right, but there's a lot of variables there. I'm not sure yet if they are monthly payers or quarterly payers. And depending on when those monies are received, they will push back a portion, but there's a lot of variables there.
Okay.
Yeah, so we could be seeing a portion of that.
I would like to gamble on anything.
Right, and that's exactly why we treated that, yeah, I don't know that.
I think if you need in a corporation, it is going to be quarterly thing, because I would think it would be, and there needs to be quarterly.
Yeah, I imagine it will be quarterly.
Even if HEB goes up, somebody's gonna go down because they're taking customers away from where they would normally shop.
I disagree with that. I disagree with that.
Not the beginning.
There's a surprising amount of people that shop HEB in Willis and Magnolia.
Yeah.
That are willing to drive because they want to go to HEB.
We never want to anticipate 100% of that as just an automatic increase, because you're right, there will be some things that fall off slightly, but not
the mountain that we're gonna get. I don't think it's gonna be.
Like Casey's talking about, his wife goes to Willis. I guarantee you, I've already had friends that go to church with me that live in Conroe that said that when HEB was here, they're
Oh, yeah.
and that was funny, and one of them was about 4 blocks from the HEB on the road.
People are starting to come, like my dentist lives in Brooklyn, lives here. People are starting to get early and see the traffic that comes into town. It's astounding. It's shocking. It's different than where the street was.
I'd like the council to think about it. See what that's,
What was your recommendation, Casey?
to fund the merits at 50 instead of 80.
So 4% at 50%?
We also have that
No, it's
30,000
5%,
savings on election.
5% at 50, because you said 5% at 80, so it'd be 5% at 50.
You said 4% of it.
Oh, I agree. 5%. Right there, 5%.
So, yeah. It is, effectively, it's a 4%, yeah. So 5% funding at 50%.
It's around 90 grand.
So that is, remember the merit goes into play as of January 1. So it's not for the first 3 months of the year, right? And then, did you have another piece of that?
Was maybe looking at, I know we talked about keeping the full 800 funding for the park, but if we roll it back to 7, I don't know what that does to Mike, but
What would we be missing, what are we missing?
I'll leave that up to y'all on what we pull out. And-
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Can we make it work with 700? Absolutely, because like I told y'all, keep in mind, I brought a full plan, you know, to redo the entire park, so maybe Stan will.
Or is that just the first, is that just the?
This was the first pass, right?
That was sticker price, we can negotiate it?
No, that's the amount, that is buy board pricing with the funding in. Now, we've got a couple of, we've got one grant application in right now, but we're still looking at some more, but. Say that again?
How much is that grant for?
The one that we applied for is 50%. Yeah, but don't gamble on that. I mean, don't put your money on that.
That was the case.
Yeah.
I don't have any problem making those adjustments. So.
But can we do a lot of work over there and make significant improvements with 700,000? Absolutely. So I'll just need some feedback on what y'all want to pull, at that time, what we want to look at.
It should
changing the plan.
Those 2 changes, roughly 2% is what is going to change our expenses. Attack the big numbers.
Regardless of whether we do 7 or 8, it's still gonna knock it out.
Oh, it'll look great. Yeah, it'll be fantastic.
There we go.
I'm really glad he went, I'm really glad that you went out and did that, Mike.
Yeah, that's good.
Great. Everything else looks really good as far as I'm concerned.
Jeff, do you have any questions?
We'll tear up the police budget once we see the police budget.
Yeah.
Okay, next up, number 6, discussion regarding the city's 5-year capital improvement projects, including impact fee deposit summary, 2026 CO bond summary, and 1-year project exhibits.
So this is a little bit of change. We did the budget just like we actually do the budget. Start with the departments, that's what we gave you in the beginning. This starts tying it together, still a lot of unknown numbers. Is this understandable to you? Does it flow good?
For me, I don't need to proceed. Right? Get your heads together, get your departments where you think you're gonna be. This is the only thing you see.
It's hard to get to that until we get through that.
But we're not involved in that first meeting.
Okay. You just give it.
I mean, you guys leave it to me and then we figure it out. You're the department heads. You have to trust you in your job.
Well, the point is to kind of tell you what's new or what's changed. It's really to highlight, those high-level items. I mean, we don't sit here and talk about all the little things.
No, all the nuances.
It's really what has changed, and that's why we want you to know where you can see, because if we give you the line item, complete thing, it's a lot.
Long. It used to be this thick.
Yeah,
I still have.
Because they would break it down,
like
yeah.
this thick.
Yeah, they're still there, but this is so you can understand how we got there. I mean, most of it's not changing that much, the percentage that you see, and it's easier for you to call out. But and then when we get to the CIP, we've worked on that as well, and Zach's put some work in. Hopefully that's a little more clear. We even have some pictures in there.
You need a handout, man.
Yeah, I'm going to address that. I'm going to address that.
I have a whiteboard and I still can't.
I have good vision and I know it's on it, but I cannot. So.
And I want to do this.
So bad.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on this because it's gonna be too hard to follow. So I'm gonna go through the exhibits and kind of the what. Go through the high level summary, and then there is, I was making some changes to this, and I messed up some numbers on here, so I need to send this back out. One, large enough so you can read it, and two, with a clear number set. Two. But to kind of hit a couple points. Yeah, you have the.
This is from March.
Yes. 100%. So we try to boil it down and put more information on one page and it shrunk in the process. But so there's two packets in front of you. There's the unreadable packet, except for the pages behind it, those are readable. So just kind of hit a couple of the points that are on the list. One is just the impact fee summary, so that number that Mary Ann was talking about, this is where it all comes from, of what's expected and where. I'm not going to go into details, but you'll see kind of what's all included in there and when we expect those numbers to hit, which is what makes up those total amounts. So again, this is based on what is active today, what is moving today, not things that are potential we don't know about. If we know about it, it's moving forward development. It's on the list.
That's impact, is that impactful?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And I mean, when you take the combination of the impact fees plus the developer-funded projects, there's a lot of work getting done in the city that isn't directly being paid by the existing residents of the city. So again, when you look down, this goes through the detail, you then have your impact fee balances. So currently you're roughly 2.5. We expect with what's coming and what should be planted here by the end of this year to have about 3.1. 27 is a big year, goes up to around 6.6. Again, you have, in 27, you have superior properties that's moving forward with theirs. Additional next to AGB, DCS is a big one. Their development starting to pay impact fees. And then you have all your residential, which is the Caroline Court, as well as another section, Montgomery Bend, and Briarly still has more sections to come to that are all paying impact fees that'll hit next year. So that number continues to grow, which is good because there's obviously a lot of projects that go along with it. Flipping back one page. Is there any questions on impact fees?
Yes. Well, ARPA funds.
Yes.
Still $361,000.
So we've spent those. So the reason it still says current, we're still waiting to close all those out with the grants. So those funds have been the majority. Right. I think there are some funds left in that, if I remember right. Yeah, we are working with the grant administrators to figure out what else we can put in there. We did some refunding at the water plant that was associated with it, trying to make sure we use up all those dollars. So that 361 has been depleted. I think it's down to less than 100.
I was going to say, when you think that there's a balance, what that balance do you think it is?
So it's not.
Is it like $100 or $100,000?
No, it's not 100,000. So based on what we were, so remember this goes back to, it had to be the projects that we had done down with ourselves, right? So it's only those two projects that can be expended. There will be some monies left over. Potentially $40,000 to $45,000. We're working with GrantWorks to be able to basically utilize those funds, but they cannot be used for the purchase of or procurement of services or goods. So what it's going to do is it is going to pay the city back in all likelihood for payroll expenses that were related during COVID. I realize that's way long time ago, but that's the guidance that Treasury has given, is those are eligible expenditures because they were, the category that we're using is like replacement of operating capital, right? And so that's allowable. It just has to be somebody who was here during that time. So
if we've already received expenditure, if we've already received that, then those employees, are we going back and doing that again, or?
So what it is it's basically a paperwork piece at this point.
Okay.
We have payroll records from that time period, right? So we can show that the wages were incurred during that time period and that they were paid, right? And so it basically becomes we have to do an administrative report because we hadn't reported that expenditure prior to this. So it's just kind of a catch-up report that's done to recover that. We have the funds, it's just at this point papering it up.
Right.
So we're working with.
We have the funds, but they're locked in ARPA, but once we credit ourselves back somewhere there, we have to show that credit, show it.
And we didn't already,
Yeah.
so I thought that there was some overtime and some other wages that we paid out of ARPA prior to, so my question. We didn't? Okay.
There might have been.
Chief, we didn't pay PD, ARPA funds for PD overtime?
There might have been some CARES Act money that was used for that, and that would have been like cleaning, and there were some things that were allowed during that time. But that ARPA funding there was never anything that was assigned to ARPA. More importantly, if it had, like if we thought we had,
do we trust
Anthony's? It had never been reported as such.
Okay,
And that's the key. So at this point, the easiest thing for us to do is to be able to go back, take one individual, a time period, and shore up that entry.
Okay.
We do not want to send money back.
No. I want to make sure we use it.
Okay, sorry.
So Chris, you talked briefly quick about BCS properties coming in. I have a quick question about that, and it comes from something that our administrator mentioned to me about the roads. Are they trying to back out of the roads?
No, so the roads bid on Wednesday.
Okay.
So the way that so essentially what is included in the base bid of the roads is from CB Stewart, Buffalo Springs, just north of CB Stewart, down to Home Depot. And then the north side of the intersection of Klepper, all the way down to 105, to making those concrete. So what is not included in the base bid is the north section. So from we are in the base bids completing the intersections of both with concrete. And there's an alternate bid for the stretch to say, okay, based on pricing, it's gonna be a whole lot cheaper to do this one big project. Is that something that the city can fund? Is that, because again, all these project costs are coming in under budget so far for BCS. Is that something that BCS is willing to participate in?
Does that road start at the stop sign and go up to Buffalo Springs? Like what is considered that north part? Is it at the
north of the intersection?
So north of the intersection will be where you complete, essentially the stop bars, where your stop signs are.
That's what I was asking.
Where it stops.
On your exhibits packet, the third to last exhibit outlines that. So the red component would be CB Stewart North and Buffalo Springs. That purple component would be the missing gap that we're looking for.
Okay, so it goes all the way to the north side of the
Yes. Yes.
So I remember we had talked about certain areas.
We got this from out of pocket. BCS to help.
So we'll know a lot
Not
more.
necessarily, because that's a little problem.
The church bought this piece. They come back and bought the extra piece.
Oh, at the end here?
Yeah, well, there's just
No,
one little
there's
chunk
like
at the
4
end.
acres or
but
something on
You ain't
there.
gonna get them to pay for this whole road now.
No, I remember talking about asking the church if they
Yeah, there you go,
would
right there.
participate.
There it is. The Church of Montgomery come and bought that other
Right there.
piece, and they're not willing to participate, so.
And I think the next, logical development that would impact this is obviously the Rainbow Lake property.
Yeah.
Extending that north. But again, the design was complete, so we finished that, get the pricing in on Wednesday, and then reconvene the conversation, because again, it might work.
Tell them we're 2 times, so they need to come back and find us.
Will do.
I will pass that on.
Write it down, Zach.
So the next item on in your packet, going backwards, I apologize, is the CO summary. So this is the 8.5 by 11 sheet. This one, so not on the.
Another eye chart.
So this is just an update of where you currently stand on the CO funds. So it's on the smaller packet, third sheet.
Oh. Smaller packet. Got it. Back here.
So again, this is, that first column on there, just all the estimates of how you used up the full 2.7445 in the CO funds. The second column is what is contracted to date. Obviously, there's a big delta because the bids for the plants haven't been completed yet. So those will fill in. But just with the demo project alone, right now you're about $800,000 below estimate based on those bid prices. So again, hopefully we have the same results or lower results when we do the next two projects. And then we'll have some available funds left in the COs. And if you remember, when the COs were submitted, it was for a general water and sewer infrastructure. It wasn't specific to a project, so that's why we continue to apply for funding for these projects, as well as other projects to be able to move those funds around and use it next time.
Right, shift it, sure.
Related to that, this isn't a specific exhibit. I think we mentioned this at the last council meeting, if not, we'll mention it tomorrow. House Bill 500, so that is the water fund that the state did, so it's $1.1 billion in funding they have for water infrastructure. We are working on those applications. I think we've identified 5 projects that is all based on water production. So you can't do water line replacement, you can do anything that expands the capacity of the system.
Like our water tower?
Exactly. The water plant, any future improvements, adding a second water tank over at water plant 2, anything like that. So those applications are due at the end of the month. So we're applying for those names. Those are 100% grants.
Yes, please.
So.
Yeah. You said water plant number 2. Why are we replacing a generator over there?
So it's if needed. So it's old. That is a old generator. That was not. That was not part of the project. Yeah, no. So the generator, the booster pumps are all still there. Those were not switched out. So that, again, that is if the generator is needed, it's putting it in the budget, right?
Chris, the grant that you're talking about applying for.
Yes.
What group is that coming from?
It is administered by Texas Water Development Board.
Texas Water Development.
But it was set aside in the last legislative session. It's like 1.038 or 1.1 billion.
Do we know anybody on the board? Do we have a representative? No.
I mean, there is regional reps that we have worked with through the city that the Water Development Board has. They have their regions that they cover. We'll reach back out to them. We haven't talked to them in a bit since our last round of Water Development Board funding, but we'll reach back out.
Did we get good results last time with any other grants? Or?
So back in 2017 timeframe, the city applied for some low interest rate projects, and so that's what funded water line replacement downtown and some others. Those were low interest loans. They were not grants. So this is actually a true grant that's administered by the state, or funding from the state. So, yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So, one other question I have to ask you on this one.
Yes.
What does remailing and overlay, what is that?
So, mill and overlays for asphalt streets, they'll bring in the grinder, and they will mill off the top. Also, especially with our streets, there's a lot of them are not milling off the top and putting it right back on. You're going to have the same issues because we're actually fixing the base. So most of our recommendations are you mill into the base and then redo the base on top of that. So it's not just a mill and overlay, really just take off the top 2 inches and put down a new surface coat, but we have so many base issues that doesn't apply. So yeah, that is everyone. So what we'll go through now is this exhibit packet. And so what this is everything on the 1 year snapshot list, kind of what's on. So some of these, and I'll put them out as we go, they're moving forward, we have contracts, it has to happen. Some of these are recommendations based on where we are in our 15-year plan. And then I'll send back out, again, this document once that's larger, and a couple of cleanup items, like, for example, lift station number 5 with TriPoint. City has a 30% share in that project that's paid over 5 years. So this shows the total number, but you're looking at $150,000 a year for that $800,000. Some of the roadway projects that we'll get to. So Mike has been working with the county to do Pleasant, Oregon and Buffalo Springs with the county contract labor to do base fixes, so not a complete redo, but fix the base in the bad areas and then do a mill and overlay of those streets. Right, Mike?
Buffalo Springs.
Roger called me, he said that they were getting pricing.
Yeah.
Is that going to go through, or are we still waiting on pricing?
No, so he called me, his second guy called me earlier, or late last week. He said the price they're looking at right now is about $90,000. That would get us patchwork between the bridge and 1097, and then everything from the bridge to Lone Star Parkway. They're recommending doing some patchwork, and then actually just an overlay instead of a mill and overlay. They're talking because they don't want to disrupt it. But $90,000, that could possibly get us through a couple more years. I had a conversation with Zach the other day about this. Could it get us through a couple more years until we could redo that road, finish it out in concrete? If we're going to try to get all the way to Lone Star Parkway, ultimately that road needs to be concrete all the way if we want it to
last.
Yeah, the amount of traffic on that road.
It's not just the traffic, it's the soil.
Oh, absolutely.
There's all the springs and stuff that are in the ditch right next to that.
Right. Yeah, that's like, with the BCS and all the recent roadway projects, in order to make the asphalt sufficient enough, it is more expensive than just going back to concrete because the amount of base work that you have to do in order for it to hold up based on the geotech recommendations, it's not worth it.
Mike, is there, I drive it, obviously, but not daily. There are a lot of holes, and I remember seeing not divots, but where it's worn because of a lot of that truck traffic, and it's gonna get worse with that fire song, and they're coming down that way, cutting through town, not going 1097 in the street. And unfortunately, we don't get any goodness from that because they're not in the city, so we can't ask them to provide some compensation for tearing up our roads. Right, but you're more worth that. That's a lot, like 3,000 houses. It's gonna be bigger than Walden, right? And Walden's like 2,500
I'm used to the utility districts and they're split into two.
Yeah.
But
Okay, it's significant.
Yes. All right.
Can we back up to the lift station real quick?
Sure. Which one?
I'm under the impression that lift station was gonna be so far north. I thought it was gonna be more down by near 105.
Lift station 5?
On the drawing, I thought the lift station.
Yeah, real.
Oh, for the traffic.
Yes. So,
but I thought when we first talked about it, we were moving it somewhere on 105 and moving it like right here.
so we're moving it from here.
Yeah.
I'll put it on the screen. Back to here. Reason was it just by deck because they had to get across the creek here and then getting it back off the road where it has space. So.
Okay, and I thought originally that was around here.
No, as long as it lands through the back, because this is going to be a roadway that comes through, it doesn't have a lot of space.
Okay, well, I just didn't realize it's somewhere.
So, so lift station number 5 is where I mentioned we have a 30% share in.
Yeah.
It sits, so currently where Napa Auto Parts is, it's the lift station that's down in the ditch. It is getting relocated and moved up onto the Tri-Point site.
Yeah, there it is.
Thank you. So it's more centrally located and it gets it out of the ditch, which is the big thing. Correct, over 5 years. I mean, it is an expensive lift station. There's a lot of utilities that go along with it. The other thing it does by getting it off the road, that's one of the items that would be in the way of the next stop. So just more things that we're getting out of the way of their locations. So I will run through these exhibits on kind of what's in the 1 year plan, or at least what's one we recommend looking at in the 1 year plan, and we'll go piece by piece. So first item, or first exhibit you see is regarding your water model. So as now, last water model that was truly done was back in 2015, 2016, when the master plans were put together. It's been updated and ran over time, but doing a full update of the model. What that does is, one, it helps us better regulate the system, and as we continue to grow outward, be able to model those better. And so it's just a good thing to have. Also, it kind of gets you ahead. So as we continue to grow, and we talked about before, you have your TCEQ paper capacity, what the TCEQ says you have to have, and then there's the actual capacity and what you can provide. In order to prove to the TCEQ that you don't need to go build that extra pump or whatever it is, having that model is key. And so it's a requirement that they see it. So that is on here. Again, these estimates are tend to be conservative. So that's the first item on the list. Going on to the next page, which we've talked about in length, I'm not going to spend much time on this at all. Water plant 4, which is going to be bidding here in the next month or so. Page after that, you have the utility extensions for around BCS property sites. So if you look in red on that exhibit, those are all the water improvements that are being done as part of that project. That project has been bid. That project, we have executed contracts. We are just waiting on developer deposits to get those going. The city's share of that is one small section of water line that's outside the church property. That bid item was roughly 18 grand. So that's what the city's going to pay this year for that line.
And the rest.
Right. Now, just so I am clear, all of this goes into the reimbursement agreement with BCS. So that's a tax reimbursement over, I think it was a 10-year period. Yep. So it's, though the city's not upfronting the capital for this project, it is getting paid back to them. Next page is the generator replacement at the water plant number 2. This is what Cheryl mentioned a second ago. Again, right now the generator is operating. It's on the list due to age. Again, our recommendation is it's in the budget items. We have it in there. Hopefully it continues to last long. Proceed with that.
Is it the same age as the old? Here, never mind. Right over here.
Oh, absolutely. I believe I do not have generator age on this sheet. I apologize. All right. Next item, the Stanley Lake Interconnect. Again, this is that additional water interconnect. Right now, this is really on hold while we wait on the HEB development across the street, as they're looking for the additional property with the KOAs that we're in feasibility for. That might change this and also change the layout, and ideally it gets done by this month. So we're just waiting on right now on that feasibility to wrap up. They had also run a feasibility with Stanley Lake, so we got those results I think last week. So now we can put it all incorporated into our report. next sheet, obviously the wastewater treatment plant, that demo, that contractor, we've had the kickoff meeting on site with them, so he should be mobilizing any day now. He hasn't mobilized already. Oh, there you are. So they've mobilized on site, so the demo's going. We're wrapping up with half the final plans and we've been that here. So what we did is we split out the demolition portion from the new construction portion of the project. So this is demoing all the old wastewater plant that's on site. At this site here. So that contract was let, and they're moving on site as we speak.
Right, is there demolition or construction of the whole thing, or just showing the property?
That's just the problem. So yeah, demo. Yeah, so demo itself in the plant.
No, I assume that. I just want to make sure that it doesn't say we're going to use the whole property.
Yeah, so demo will be all through here, and then the new plant will be slightly south of this, but this trees, none of that gets impacted. Okay. All right, we talked about lift station number 5, which is your next sheet. Keep on moving. The next item is the sanitary sewer related to BCS. And so again, this is the project that has been bid. We're just waiting on deposits from the developers, extending that sewer line, as well as there's a lift station number 12 that's right there at the corner of CP Stewart and 105. That gets removed as part of this project and it's followed by gravity. So benefit of that, less things to break, less pumps, so everything else is all by gravity. And that will get completed with this project.
We started at 192, is that available?
Yes, yes. It's all part of that. It's in the 380 agreement. That's all paid for by the developer. All right, next sheet is Caroline Court. So part of their development agreement with the city is they're extending a sewer line along their frontage to serve their tract. Again, it serves them, but it also the Solomon Electric site, and it'll take it further, so if it needs to be extended, it can. That is fully funded by them. On to the next sheet, the Montgomery Crossing development. So I don't want to go too far off. I do think she's going to try to keep her original development agreement based on correspondence we had earlier today, but we'll tell you more when we read into it. This is for the upsizing and force main to serve her property. So again, it's on the list. It's a project that will be an asset of the city's, but not paid for by the city.
Is this the one that expired?
It did not expire. The escrow agreement expired. The development agreement. Okay, right.
You're saying she's gonna keep the original development agreement?
I believe that's the message I saw earlier, that she's gonna keep the agreement she has. However,
You can still request a workshop like you have.
Correct.
The development agreement is still good, the bid is still good, I mean, it's a legal document. But that'll be your opportunity to discuss that.
So, we'll see. I haven't read the whole message yet, but that's the gist of it.
I'm sure we all have.
Okay, so you got the whole thing. Roadway improvements for BCS we talked about a second ago. Were those costs smaller? Now we're up to Buffalo Springs repaving, which is what Mike was discussing with the county. So in this year's budget, it's just that work that Mike is discussing. So going back with asphalt, patching, repairing, overlaying the road, not making it concrete. In the 5-year plan, it is to switch it out to concrete, but right now just kind of keep it going.
And if we can get that, it's in this year's budget already.
Yeah, correct. And they did agree to do it. Well, he said that their timing looks like probably the fall. So one of the things, and Marion, don't let me overstep what I'm saying here, but with the new line item of transfer to capital on the streets, we can actually transfer the money this year over to that new line item. That way, if we don't get it done by September 30th, that money we don't lose it back to, back to surplus. So we'll still be able to do it with the money from this year, correct? Okay.
And once we get the final numbers from the county, we'll be able to update the totals here. These are just.
Yeah, he gave me a figure of 90. I told him I was gonna fill out here in this room and see if we wanted to do it.
And
if so, then. So that is north of the bridge to 1097 is some patchwork, and then south of the bridge all the way to Lone Star Parkway is patchwork and an overlay on existing.
Yeah, it's not.
For 90. So I told him if it sounded like that was a good idea in this room, then I'll be bringing a resolution to council to follow the procedure.
For the county, for the interlocal agreement for the county to do the pay to work on Buffalo Springs.
To officially request it, y'all have to do a resolution, which I'll bring.
Oh, we have to do it every year for
every request, yeah.
Going to the next page, one of the other roads that's in dire need of repair is Pleasant Morgan. Again, it's one of those that doesn't have to be done this year, but is one that definitely needs to have attention to it. Again, with this one, with so much developable property along Pleasant Morgan, there might be more work waiting on to kind of see how that goes.
Now, Pleasant Morgan, isn't that one where they were having erosion issues?
Yes, so that is on here. Again, the erosion repairs at Pleasant Morgan. So a couple things regarding that is, we're actively working with the developers and the district. So now this property is owned by Montgomery County Mud 215, I believe it is. They are working on currently, they were taking to their board a repair for right here by the school to stabilize the slope. And we're going back and forth and working on kind of addressing all the hot button items, which are at Pleasant Morgan and specifically at the creek that runs between Town Creek Crossing and the school and a couple other spots to get
What's the, who's the engineer for the mud?
elsewhere. So those are the majority of the projects on the list. So, and again, I'm not gonna try to walk y'all through this small print, but the gist of how this is set up when you get it, the columns in blue, because colors are easy to see on this, those are 27 divided between city and developer funding. And then the columns in orange or peach, depending on your perspective, is 28, 29, 30, and 31 in those projects that are on there. So of those, and again, we'll send this out, the biggest ticket items and the biggest year you have is in 29, is that next phase of the wastewater plant. And that is something that we'll be likely pulling the design forward so it's ready to go when needed. That was on there. So we will clean this up. I have some math errors that I made in it while I was trying to change some things that Jack actually told me not to do. And so I will send you out a cleaned up version once I fix what I told you not to do. So I tried to make it easier, and I made it more complicated in the process.
So help me, Chris, with the loan that we just received.
Yes.
I thought that had that wastewater treatment plant in it.
It does.
Okay.
Yeah. No, the current expansion of the wastewater plant is there. Right now, there's another expansion expected that is not in it. The size and location of that's really to be determined, but this is kind of there's a $14.5 million line item in there, which, again, it's high.
But that's the future.
That's the future. Not what's here. What's here today is what's on that CO summary that you have the funds for, and we should, knock on wood, have access from those funds when the projects are there. And those items.
Numbers until you get to that 2020.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking, this is obviously a big year with those two large plant projects, and then the rest of them goes anywhere, looking at the very bottom line, which has inflation and everything in it, 4.8, 25 because of that $14 million hit, 9, 11, totaling up to 50. That's not a separate year. And again, those are 100% of the cost. That includes things like the concrete conversion at Buffalo Springs like we talked about. That includes an additional $500,000 a year for just miscellaneous roads. Westway, some new roadway projects of extending like Westway through once the Morning Cloud development goes, Montgomery Crossing development. And then some other items at the top that are really based off of, planning for it, but hopefully don't need it. Water well replacements, reworks, things like that.
This is worst case scenario, and then we can get some
Exactly.
development funding or additional funding.
And we're always looking for funding partners
Yes.
and or grants, et cetera. So.
I like that word, funding partner.
So well 2, well 3 are new, or well 2 is brand new, well 3 is.
Correct, so those are water plant, we love.
I'm just asking a question for well work, right? So is it well 4, that's the oldest right now?
3.
Well, 3 is the oldest, and it's what, 20 years old?
Give the full 15 year. It's about that. So I mean, we expect, a 50-year life.
Work it over, so we don't have a well 2 problem?
Correct. Yeah, and so water well reworks are planned in here every 7 to 10 years. 4 is kind of what we estimate. And then what the city does is on a biannual basis, there's called a GM services report that does a performance test on the well. And as long as we see that it's not losing performance, we'll keep on pushing that rework back. As soon as we see either a drop in performance that's not due to aquifer change, or they test for brass. So obviously if you have brass shakings.
The other thing though too is that we should be looking at because we have to test that water constantly, right? We need to really pay attention to changes in content, mineral content.
Are you saying that we're, due to the data centers and stuff, we're depleting the minerals?
No. What will happen, like we've seen with well 2, that was a catastrophic failure, so it caved in. But there are signs of wells that start to die or have.
With the gravel coming through.
You'll start to see changes in your content of your water tests.
Be caustic.
Yes. What?
Yeah, be a little caustic or.
No, you'll just see changes. You'll see increases in mineral counts. You'll see, like, oh, hey, we have to treat this a little more. We used to have to treat it. And they're just subtle signs of the well changing because of deterioration.
Right, and so in the reworks that we have is the pricing that we do a rework, they'll obviously pull the equipment, televise it, do a scan, see what's wrong with it, and then either a chemical clean of the screen or a mechanical clean, and or going in and patching where screens have failed and things like that, just to monitor for signs before it gets to a catastrophic failure.
Just for note, well 3 was constructed in 2005, well 4 was constructed in 2014.
Technically, if like well 2 was close to what, 40 years old, right?
Yeah.
Technically, what would be, if it was always maintained at a very high level, what could be the maximum that you would always lifespan if you have a well?
Look, 40 to 50 is lifespan.
Right.
Yeah, 50.
40 to 50
I
is
figured that it was
lifespan.
probably, I was fixing to say you can only polish it so long.
Right. I mean, the fact that we didn't work that well over for 40 years and it lasted 40 years is amazing.
Yeah. What if we had left it up in the last
We might have got a couple more years out of it, but
no, 80.
it's just the amount of volume that we pull, right, in those large wells, it's just gonna naturally erode. And then once you get so much erosion, it collapses.
Chris, water, hot topic is water.
Are we, I know we're in the Catalina and the Jasper wells. Texas is going through this, in the real estate business, they've completely changed our documents now that all the wells have to be registered with the state, and they're doing a lot of, micromanagement, whatever that word is. So are we worried about a water shortage or a statewide, us-wide,
How important, I know it's important, how serious is the?
Like an aquifer drawdown, like you're saying.
So, I mean, one of the things, back to that PM service report, is they monitor the aquifer levels at the well and see what your submergence is, and it's tracked over, I think each graph, I mean, they provide 5 tiers. And we've been holding constant.
Okay.
You see seasonal shifts, which you expect, because obviously you have more drawdown during the summer.
Yep.
And so when they do the September test, it's lower. And what we really look for is the recharge and that bounce back. And so far, we haven't seen, this is not just Montgomery, but this area, that recharge is keeping up.
Okay.
It's not having issues. Now, we haven't had 2011 drought. So, so we've been fortunate for weather. We've been fortunate that we haven't been in that situation, but we're constantly working. That's the Lone Star's main goal, and so we're working with them to make sure it's permitted, and we're getting our capacities allocated to be able to do those draws. And we're also making sure we're constructing the wells deep enough that if we need to, pumps and settings can be lowered, and we're not having to go drill a new well because we've lost 10 feet.
So what I hear you saying is the city's preparing and being proactive about potential, what the future can look like.
And it's also kind of going back to the different sources. I mean, we're drilling a new well at Waterfront Fort, which is on that side of town, so we can produce water over there. We talked about tonight the interconnect with Stanford Lake. You still have the River Authority that's down the road. I mean, again, we're not talking about doing that, not necessarily, financially, it wouldn't make sense. But again, from sources of water and things like that, there's options out there that, we're not like, there's a lot of places in Texas where it's not as easy to drill a well, and especially not a well that, your wells produce 1,200, 1,400, 500, 600 gallons a minute. We have, wells that we're drilling, I hope we get 6. And, how many now wells, what field do I need of wells? That's not this situation.
Okay.
So we will send these numbers out, clean it up, send it to you, so to give you that total number, because what number I want to give you is for 2027, what is that total number that we're expecting that we need to spend outside of the COs and what developers are paying for, et cetera. I messed up the math, I don't have that number in front of you, but I'll have it to you by the end of this week, so.
Great job, everybody.
Yes, very good. Very, very good.
Closing agenda, number 7, council inquiry, anything? Moving right along to number 8, items to consider for placement for future agendas. And number 9, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion by everybody. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
It's 7:56, we will adjourn. I'll leave it with Miss Langley and Miss Fox.
That's correct.
Are you doing the first budget?